Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Frienemy Podcast, a place where best friends who hate each other get together and have various discussions. I'm your host, Mike, joined this time in person with my co-host, JP. JP, what's going on? Long time no see.
How's it going, friends? I defeated the Rona.
How?
There's two specific ways that I learned. One was I snorted hydrochloroquine. Yep, only 3 times. Straight up. And then the other thing I did this every day, and this is very important if you guys want to get over your COVID-19, is I raw dogged the sun for 15 minutes every day.
You stared at the sun for 15 minutes?
Raw dog, no sunglasses.
No sunglasses, straight at the sun.
Vitamin D, straight into my pupils.
Straight into the eyeballs. I've actually heard that exposing your butthole to the sun actually gives you quite a boost to your immune system too. Did you dabble in that at all?
No, because that's kind of feminine.
I don't think so.
You know, a little bit of taking it in the butt.
No, you're not taking the sun into your butt. You're
Yes,
just.
you are.
I look at it more as like you're mooning the sun. It's it's pretty good, right?
You know what? If you think about it that way,
Yeah.
I probably could have got healed in 9 days instead of 10.
I think you could have cut it in half by doing that.
I don't know if I'm comfortable. I don't know if I'm comfortable with Apollo just ramming in my butt.
I think the mental picture of you with your legs up in the air in your backyard, holding your ankles, like exposing your butt to the sun, like not just your butt, but spreading your cheeks. Like, I think that's a pretty funny mental picture. But I'm happy to hear that you're feeling better. I think all the fans are happy to hear that you're feeling better. It's a serious thing, and you got over it. So we're going to kick it over to our sponsor this week. We've got a brand new sponsor. Always happy to have these brand new sponsors coming in. This week's sponsor is Kenny's Copters. He's literally above the competition. We're going to move into our next segment. JP, what's our next segment?
Our next segment is the fan letter. One of our favorites. I just like to hear the reaction of the crowd, see what the people are asking us.
We appreciate you guys writing in each and every week. JP, this one I think had your name on the envelope.
Dear Frienemy Podcast, I'm your biggest fan. JP is a real straight shooter, and Mike is one dapper dandy. I have a question for JP. JP, you have said how much you love being a lifelong nudist. You have often expressed your joy in hanging your little dog in the wind. What's the craziest place you have been naked in public? Any tips for an aspiring nudist? Love, Agatha. Thank you, Agatha. I wish you were here so I could understand if you're a female or an Eastern European man named Agatha, but I guess it doesn't matter either way.
I've never heard of it being a male name. I've always assumed Agatha was a female name.
I always assumed it too. She's a little more, you have some more complications as being a nudist because you have more parts that could be seen as obscene. You know what I'm saying? If I walk around with my shirt off, which is half nudist, it's not a big deal. If you walk out with your titties out, depending on the size, it could be a big deal. But the best thing you got to do is confidence. You know, I like to stare in the mirror and flex from all angles, turn around, flex some cheeks, make sure they're on point.
But like you're out in public, like how is that like? Like you're walking around. I've seen you in like the grocery store completely naked, and it's really off-putting. How do you deal with like the people staring at you, the glances, the people hiding their children?
Okay, I'm gonna have to be real with you, Agatha, and hopefully you're hot. Because I get away with it because I'm hot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I walk around, just dong out, swinging back and forth, right knee, left knee, right knee, left knee, getting some organic green tea. And since I'm hot, you're like, oh, okay, it's all right.
I assume she is hot. I think with the exception of Kyle, all of our listeners are hot.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a general trend, like we appeal to a pretty good looking audience.
Or at least they all have one hot part. Like
Right.
They might have a nice ass or some pretty eyes, except for Kyle, he has nothing.
So I don't think you've touched on being a nudist, but what's the craziest place in public that you've ever been?
Oh, the craziest place in public. Well, you know, when I first started dabbling in nudism.
Yeah.
In high school.
In high school.
Well, I ran around my block completely nude. All my neighbors could see and all that.
What happened when the few times you came to class naked? That was really weird. You almost got expelled for that.
Yeah, almost pulled a Chris Coley and got arrested.
You showed up to Spanish class and you're like, hola.
Bienvenidos.
Agatha, we really appreciate you writing in. You sound hot. And I think that was a really good question to kind of help us get more information on one of our hosts, JP. Thank you for talking to Agatha about your passion.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome, Agatha. Whoa, so Nigel just handed me another fan letter. We have a bonus fan letter.
Nice.
Mike, you want to read it?
Sure, I'll read this one. All right. It says, "Hey there, Frienemy Podcast. I hope that JP is feeling better and that you all had a good and happy new year. I just want to say thank you guys for the laughs and entertainment. Always gets me through the last hour of work. Laugh out loud. I wanted to comment on the semi-horrible, one-sided, extreme advice that you guys give when trying to help that poor guy with the insecure girlfriend. Now, I'm not saying what JP said isn't true because usually the accuser could be guilty, but you guys never even explored the option that this dude could have already been caught doing some dumb shit. He was very vague, and you guys like to blame everything on our asses, then get upset when we get upset, laugh out loud. Who knows, he could have broke her spirit and trust, and now she's just trying to make it work because she loves him and just needs his reassurance during the healing/growing process. I mean, aren't you guys always claiming to be on the search for someone who will take all your shit and still stay? Laugh out loud. I'm just saying, if you were going to completely go after a female and have her and her purse practically strip searched, maybe look at all the angles first. I don't know. I'm just saying, gotta be fair. Stay safe. From Cupcake. Thank you, Cupcake.
We appreciate it. I appreciate your well wishes for my health.
Anything to say about the letter?
Okay, well, first off, in her letter, she said, what if the guy really was cheating? Impossible.
Right.
It's God's will that men are the light and that women are the ones that are tempting him, cheating, doing things. It all started with the Garden of Eden. You had Adam chilling. He's probably like all naked, running around, naming animals, having the time of his life. And then Eve comes and was like, I want you to eat the apple. He probably was like, hey, what do you want to eat? And she was probably like, I don't care, whatever. He's all, let's eat these pears. And she was like, I don't want that. So he got pissed and was like, well, what do you want? She was like, I want to eat the apple. And he's like, oh, so the whole garden, we can eat this whole thing. You want to pick the thing we can't eat. And he knew she was going to nag him. He probably wasn't going to get no boom boom later. I'm just going to eat that apple. And that's how you got a succubus. And that's why women cheat.
Right. And I completely agree, JP. The Bible says that if you don't do what the man says, you're going to hell. So there it is, ladies.
I think that's Jebediah 7:13.
It's Jebediah 7:13. I think you're right. We'll have to look that up. Cupcake, we really appreciate the feedback, the letter. You're responding to one of our subjects, and we need the feedback. We're gonna use that in the future, learn from it, build upon it, try to be better men for it. Mm-hmm. But shut up. I'm kidding. Thank you very much for writing in. We love it. Love to see it. JP, anything else you want to say on the fan letter?
Just if you feel like writing another fan letter, go ahead. Your input is always welcome, even if it's wrong, like this one. We still like it.
Completely wrong, but you know what? We actually read it on the podcast.
Yep. So if anyone else has any letters, put them in the comments. Send them to one of our Instagrams. We're here for you guys.
JP, you want to throw it over to our next segment?
Our next segment it's a little favorite that everyone likes. Well, kind of is man movies, and we have some criticism of that. I'm gonna go ahead and send it over to Mike.
As JP said, man movies, and everybody kind of likes it. So we've gotten a lot of mixed feedback from this one. People have said that they enjoy the segment, the concept of the segment, but we tend to talk about the movies a little too long. But we've listened to the feedback. You guys hate us for some reason. So we're gonna change the format up a little bit, and we're gonna do man movies. We're still gonna talk about the movies that we love, but we're gonna just rate them on the manly factor. We're gonna go right into the man grades. So JP, what's the man movie for this week?
This week's man movie is a movie I grew up on. It was a staple, and that is Blade, the original Blade.
The original Blade, the first Marvel movie that had an R rating, actually.
Is that the first Marvel movie?
First Marvel. Ooh, you might have a good point. It might be the first Marvel movie. You know, I think there were other Marvel movies in like the 80s. There was the Spider-Man movie. There was the Captain America movie that was really terrible. I think this was probably the first like good Marvel movie.
I know it was the movie that saved Marvel.
Right. And that rated R rating, I think, really helped it too because of the dark and heavy subject matter.
Yeah, it's often underrated in its importance. Like it's the first black lead superhero, which a lot of people say was Black Panther, which is wrong. And it's also, like you said, the first R-rated movie, which people say is Deadpool, but it was actually Blade. That was the first R-rated comic book movie.
Right. And so it had a lot of groundbreaking first for it. So let's get right into the man grades, kind of talk about the movie a little bit. Let's start off with action. JP, what about the action in Blade? And at the end, what grade are you going to give the action in this movie?
Now, for many people don't know, Wesley Snipes is an accomplished martial artist. He's for real. And the action is amazing. Besides a little bit of dated CGI, his kicks are awesome, his punching, his wrestling, all the martial arts. One of my favorite scenes ever in any movie is the opening with the blood, the shower coming from the blood.
Yeah.
The blood coming from the shower heads, and he's in the rave, and he just beats the shit out of like 40 vampires. So, A.
An A for
solid
action.
A for
you know
action.
What? I got to be right there with you. I got to give it an A. One thing that you didn't touch on that I think is really badass in this movie is his sword. So he's running around and yeah, like the martial arts part of it, but he's also like a martial artist with a sword. And the sword play is really cool in this movie. It's not just like this generic, sword play that you see in a lot of movies. It's really dynamic, and the whole interaction with him and the sword, cutting off the limbs of the vampires, like that kind of stuff is really badass. I like that part a lot. JP, let's get on to the dialogue in the movie. What did you think about the dialogue of Blade?
Dialogue A+.
An A+?
A+. Wesley Snipes got some of the best one-liners. Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. Then he kicks the syringe in Deacon Frost's forehead.
That's the only line from the movie that I like really remember. Like I was trying to think about some of the great dialogue from this movie, and for whatever reason, my mind couldn't move past that one line at the end of the movie. I like it a lot. I like a lot of what I appreciate about the movie is through the dialogue, they really build the world out. So you get the sense that it's a vampire. It's a whole different world underneath our world. And they do that through the dialogue. They build a really good backstory for Blade. They build a really good backstory for all these vampires. Like you have older vampires that are warring against like these new school vampires. I really appreciated that part of it. So you give it, what did you say, an A+?
A+.
An A+. I'm not quite there with you. I'm going to give it a B-, which, I think it gets a B- just for that one line of Blades, because that's the only line I remember. And it's a damn memorable line, but I couldn't tell you like another memorable line from another character. Could you?
Well, I don't know if it counts as dialogue, but I just love when he's walking into the Daywalker. And he's just scared. Like, Daywalker's just a dope name, which I think that was created in that movie, right?
Right.
They have cool name. Deacon Frost is a sick vampire name.
Yeah. What's the old guy's name? Whistler?
Whistler.
That's a cool name too. And then he's got some good, like, I like his delivery in that character.
That's another good, there's one I remember. A good line is the love interest.
Yeah.
She's like, so you really care about Whistler, don't you? And he goes, we got a good thing going. He makes the weapons, I use them.
That's a pretty good line. I might have to revise it just for that. I'm going to move it up to a B. I'm allowed to do that. It's our podcast. Shut up. Moving on. Speaking of love interest, our next category is 80s boob. Is there any 80s boob or boob in general in this movie, JP?
I want to say there's like fried vampire boob.
Fried vampire boob? I know there's morbidly obese vampire boob. That one really fat vampire that's like at the bottom of the building, that's like on the computers.
Yeah, and they burn her with the violet light.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. That vampire is really gross. I like that. Like, how does a vampire get obese? Like, it's got to be drinking so much blood. No 80s boob. The main female lead in the movie, she's pretty hot. Doesn't get naked. I think there is like, I haven't rewatched it in a while. Our fault for not doing that. But I think there might be like subtle vampire boob in the background. For whatever reason, vampires in this movie really love to go to raves. at nightclubs. Like, well, nightclubs, that makes sense. Like, I guess for a vampire, that's your main form of entertainment is the nightclub. Why are vampires so horny, JP?
I don't know. In every vampire movie, there's some necro-vampirism erotica. They're hypnotizing girls or trying to suck their necks. Well, that's where they get the blood, but it's like sexual. It's not just I'm hungry.
I never really, it's just kind of strange that vampires in general, like of all the mythological creatures, like they're the horniest ones. Like, you know, like there's no like romantic, like crazy bloody like werewolf movie where like the werewolves are running around extremely horny trying to like get with everybody. But every vampire movie, they seem to be horny.
That's true. And that's probably why I don't count, what's the stupid sparkly vampire? Twilight, because they have horny werewolves in that one.
They do have horny werewolves in that one.
But that's why it's not real.
Okay, well, you don't have like a horny Bigfoot running around, I guess.
Well, I mean, in Twilight has vegan vampires too, which is stupid.
Oh, man. We're not good. All right, we're getting away from we're going the opposite direction of manliness in this one. So speaking of manliness, JP, what do you give Blade in overall manliness? Wait. Did we rate it on 80s Boob?
80s Boob? Yeah, I give it a C.
A C? Yeah, I gotta give it like a D. I don't think there's any boob.
C-.
Other than the main female lead running around in like a crop top, or not a crop top. She's in like a tank top, right?
Yeah. You know what? I give it a C because there's no one grotesque. Like there's no like Rosie O'Donnell's in this movie, or there's no like people that I hate. Like no female. Like, you make me angry by looking at you. They don't have none of that.
Would you say a C?
C minus.
C minus. I'll go with you on that. We'll go C minus. So, getting away from Twilight, moving on to overall manliness. What would you rate the overall manliness of Blade?
A. I give it a good A.
An A.
Yeah, I like the dialogue. There's aggressive violence. There's blood shower, rape, death scenes. There's ninja kicks, kicking syringes and using wildly different weapons in creative, crazy ways.
You know, it's pretty high up there. I'm gonna give it a B plus. It's a pretty manly movie. I like the characters in it. I like the themes in it. It's an entertaining watch. It's one of those movies I feel if it's on TV, like I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna keep it on. I'm not gonna change it away. One quick thing before we go. It's not really related to the grades. I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's really funny. They ended up making 3 Blade movies. And in the final Blade movie, Wesley Snipes refused to break character. And he was so difficult to work with. There's one scene in the movie where he refused to open his eyes for the director. So his eyes are closed, so they actually had to use CG to open his eyes in the movie because he was so hard to work with. I'm gonna play the clip for you guys. It's really fucking funny.
Was he a blind samurai?
He was so difficult to work with, he kept his eyes closed for one scene. So it's Blade related. I just think that's great. We might touch on the other Blade movies one of these days, but Blade's a great movie. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely watch it. I don't think we spoiled it too much.
No. I love that though. The next time I get mad at the wife, I'm just gonna close my eyes at her.
It's the most basic form of passive aggressiveness is closing your eyes. So I think that wraps it up for this week's Man Movie, unless you have anything else you want to say on it, JP.
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's move on to our next segment.
Today's segment is, would you touch his pee-pee?
Would you touch his pepe? So this one, I'm excited about this one.
Me too.
JP, who's our subject for this week's installment of Would You Touch His Pee-Pee?
So in baseball, you have a fastball. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you switch it up, you might throw a curveball, breaking ball, a drop ball. This is a break and drop curveball.
Oh, so we're going kind of off the script on this one.
Yes, you're totally surprising you. And this week's Would You Touch His Pee-Pee candidate is Danny DeVito.
Mr. Danny DeVito. I love Danny DeVito, honestly. So we did a little bit of research on Danny DeVito. JP, how old is Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito is 76 years old.
All right, so I think this is without a doubt the oldest pee-pee that we've discussed.
Yeah, old wrinkled balls, as Adam Sandler would say.
He's 4'10". I didn't know he was that short.
Yeah, I thought he was like 5'1", honestly. That's a legal midget.
Okay, so not only do we have the oldest pee-pee, we also have the shortest pee-pee for sure that we've touched this week.
Well, yeah, he might be hung. He might have a big old dog. No.
We have no idea how. He might be. Dude, it's probably down to his knees. Like, literally. Yeah. Some of the movies that Danny DeVito's been in, he's been in Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who...
It's funny.
I think Arnold gets a mention on every single podcast that we've done. I think we've mentioned Arnold Schwarzenegger at least once in every single podcast. He's plays the Penguin in Batman Returns.
Solid.
Very good.
Solid resume so far.
Get Shorty. That's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. If you guys haven't seen it, it's him, John Travolta, and Gene Hackman. He's in Space Jam. Who does he play in Space Jam, JP?
He's a little cigar smoking alien, like the boss.
The one that actually sends the Monstars, right?
Yeah, he organizes the theft of Michael Jordan's talent.
Right. Okay, so he's in Space Jam.
Oh, not Michael Jordan's talent, I'm sorry. The rest of the NBA's talent.
Right, and it takes Michael Jordan to save the world, basically. He's in Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks, that's underrated.
I think it's a really underrated movie. And that's another one where that movie is star-studded. They got all of Hollywood to be in that movie. If you rewatch that movie, every single scene has some star in it. It's pretty crazy. He's in LA Confidential. I like that movie a lot. He doesn't have a really big role in it, but another movie that's just packed with stars. If you guys haven't seen it, I think it's on Netflix. Definitely worth a watch. It's a great movie. And then I think now he's known most for his role as Frank in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's a meme staple with that. He's so many memes of him because of that movie. That series, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. He's given us so much joy, not only just being on the show, but the memes that have come from the show. I think he's cemented himself in the pop culture these days. So with that being said, JP, there's a question that we have to ask every week. Would you touch his pee-pee?
So I do got to give him credit because if it wasn't for him still in the NBA's talent, we wouldn't have one of the best theme songs for a villain squad ever with the Monsters. When I hit 'em high, that's a great song. I also found out that he's a producer. He produced one of my favorite movies of all time, Pulp Fiction.
Oh, okay.
And he also produced, I can't even think, I was going to say it now, I can't remember. But he's a producer, he has a lot of production. So the answer is, or not the answer, but the question is, would I touch his pee-pee?
You're right.
The answer is no.
No? You had me going. I thought you were giving him some pretty high praise.
The reason I would not touch his pee-pee is because the fans asked for, the movie Detective Pikachu?
Yes. Oh.
The fans wanted him to voice Pikachu, which would have been awesome. You know how amazing that would have been?
That would have been really good.
Yes. And he refused. He said he didn't know.
I didn't know he refused.
So how you not know the great Pokemon series? I can't touch your pee-pee if you don't fuck with Pokemon.
Oh man, that would have totally changed the attitude of that movie to have this crotchety old Pikachu. I would have loved that. Wow. Okay, I'm kind of surprised at that. High praise for Danny DeVito, but at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with looks. I appreciate that you're not, being what's the word I'm looking for? Superficial, but not touching his pee-pee. So, but if you're gonna ask me, would I touch Danny DeVito's pee-pee? Oh yeah, this guy's amazing. That's an amazing pee-pee to touch. And you know what? I feel like he would be nice about it. Not that he would let me necessarily, but I don't think he would fight me too hard on it. And I think that appeal really interests me in this pee-pee. I don't know. And another thing is the mystery of it. I don't know what I'm gonna find down there. It could be anything.
What if it has 3 heads down there?
You don't know. And not that would turn me away from it. I think he's such a prolific actor, and he's been in all these amazing things that that's quite up. It's a lofty pee-pee to touch for even such a short man.
I respect it. Yeah.
I think that wraps up this segment of Would You Touch His Pee-pee?
Sorry, I know in this PC culture, I accidentally said he was a midget.
Ooh.
I know that's not an accepted term. It is non-binary bitch-heighted. So he is non-binary bitch-heighted, not midget.
Once again, you're on your one-man warpath to get us pulled off of YouTube. You gotta knock that off, dude. Always throwing out these terms out here that can get us booted. All right, so that wraps up that week's segment of Would You Touch His Pee-pee? We're moving on to, I think, everybody's favorite segment, without a doubt, the one we've gotten the most positive feedback for, and making its return. Go ahead, Trippy.
And it's also makes me feel good about myself, putting this out here for you guys to benefit and help you in your everyday life.
You're so brave for doing this every week. This is JP's Drawing Corner.
Shibbity-doo-wop-doo-wow.
What have you brought for us this week, JP?
I mixed it up a little bit this week. You know, I showed you that I'm a multifaceted artist.
Right.
Now, I dabbled in the comic genre today. This is a picture of Spider-Man using a urinal.
Ooh, Spider-Man using a urinal. I really only have one question. Why?
It shows the human side of these superheroes. You know, most people show them as gods, but they gotta go pee just like the rest of us.
I've never thought about that before. He's out there, you know, fighting fucking Doc Ock, and he's like, dude, I really gotta piss right now, bro.
Yeah.
Can we take a time out from the fight? Like, yeah, these guys, they are human. They've got to use the restroom. And how weird on it would it be to, like, you walk into like a men's room and there's a man dressed as Spider-Man?
You can't see in this picture because the urinal's covering it, but he pees like a little kid too. He pulls his pants all the way to his
He drops them to his ankles.
So you got ass out peeing.
He would. Well, I mean, it's got to be awkward with that costume, right? Is there a break in the costume? Does he? Now, here's the question. Does he tuck the top part into the bottom, or does the top part? It's a pretty tight costume, like.
Yeah.
Where does he? Does he have a zipper?
Maybe he has a little dick hole that your boxers have that you never use.
Nobody uses that.
I've never used it.
If you use that, guys will know. Girls, I don't think will know what we're talking about. But every male piece of underwear that you can buy has a flap in the middle that I think is, as JP said, presumably used to put your penis through so that you can use the restroom. Who does that?
You know what? I thought about this. I think maybe it's where it's real cold.
Yeah, maybe. So you don't, but I would still just pull it over the top.
Yeah.
Everybody goes over the top, right?
You know, I bet you a woman designed boxers. She's like, oh, this would be nice. They don't have to pull their pants down.
They're going to love this. It's so convenient. No, I've never used it. I don't know anybody that does. If you do, hey, write it in the comments. Say, hey, you know, defend yourself, defend your people. Say, I'm one of the weirdos that puts it through the hole.
They use the dick. Yeah, you know what? If you do, please comment, because I've never met someone who has.
Right. I like the picture a lot, JP. I like the perspective and the arms coming forward. You know exactly what he's doing. You wrote urinal on it, and that, I think without writing that, we wouldn't know exactly what he's doing. It looks like he's making copies at a copy machine. What's the caption at the top there?
It says, spider sense tingling.
Why?
Because somebody is out the door about to come and gaze at his meat. You gotta protect it.
We got Kyle about to kick in that door.
Let me see that spider dick.
Kyle's one of those type of people that if you have, like, you walk into a restroom and there's 7 urinals and there's one guy in the corner, Kyle will go stand right next to that guy.
Yeah.
If you're out in the forest and you're peeing in a bush, you got your own bush to yourself, Kyle will pick that same bush.
I bet you Kyle loves those bathtub urinals. Remember those old school ones?
Those one of the baseball games?
Yeah.
Those are the worst. I'm sorry. Those are the worst urinals. They're troughs full of piss. Ladies, you have no idea what we're talking about. It's a dark side of the men's world, but that's why there's never a line at the men's restroom.
That's a good point.
We just all line up together and pee in a trough.
We have the better tool for pissing.
We're okay with being gross. I think that's a great picture, JP. You said you brought one more. Do you want to share it with us?
Yes, this is my magnum opus.
So you're saying this is the best one you've ever done?
This is the best one I've ever done.
What do you got?
You know, we have a real hostile political climate right here.
We try not to get political on this show.
Try not to get political. So this is just showing that it's love no matter what. No matter what political affiliation. Democrat, Republican, Blood, Crip, whatever your politics align with.
Kyle.
We're here for you, Kyle.
Is.
This right here is my love trumps all picture.
Oh boy. All right. There's so much to get into in this picture. So this is obviously Kyle. You can tell by the square head. And he's holding hands with Buffalo Man.
Buffalo Man, the cold hero of the riot.
2021's national symbol, Buffalo Man. JP, what went into this?
Well, I just know that, you know, Kyle loves Trump. So just a picture of him, hearts in his eyes, literally.
Right.
And of course, you know, Kyle always has a band shirt.
Always.
This one's Puddle of Mud.
This week's edition is Puddle of Mud.
Speaking, get off topic, but one of the Puddle of Mud lyrics goes, "I love the way you smack my ass." I always laughed every time I heard that lyric.
That's true. That's true. They have that one song in particular is kind of strange. You captured the essence of Buffalo Man. I think I knew instantly that was Buffalo Man. There's not a question in my head of who Kyle is holding hands with. Yeah,
trumping the love.
Man, this again. We're not picking sides. We're not getting political. But you know what? Art should push the boundaries, right? It should make people kind of uncomfortable.
It should make you question how you're feeling.
Right, and this definitely does. This makes me uncomfortable. So I think mission accomplished in that regard.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. JP, anything else you want to say on your defining piece?
It's just a metaphor for love, and Trump's. People think Trump is hate, but Trump could also be to overcome something.
The wordplay.
Wordplay,
Nice.
Yes. Okay. Love trumps all.
I see where you went with that. All right, again, you're so brave for sharing your art with us. We all appreciate it. I think that concludes this week's segment of JP's Drawing Corner.
Shibidoo-wop-bop-doo-wow.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our next segment, a fan favorite every week, giving you guys the hard-hitting relationship advice that you ask for and that you deserve. So we're gonna get into relationship advice. And this week's question is, how do you ask your girlfriend to marry you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Right?
That's a good question.
You've been with each other. Mm-hmm. It's time to take that next step. One thing I want to say real quick before we get into the nitty-gritty of it is I think something that's really important. There's something that you have to do before that. You have to ask your potential future father-in-law for your wife's hand in marriage.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I got a quick little story about that. Give you guys some background into how I did it. If you want to base it, if you're not married and you want to base it on this, steal from it. Take the advice, run with it. I went over there. I pounded on the door. He opened it up. I said, "Hey, listen here, Chief. I'm here to take your daughter's hand in marriage and give her my seed. We're doing this thing whether you like it or not." So obviously, in my view, you don't so much ask, you demand for their hand in marriage. You take what's yours. And then you have to fight them.
Oh, nice.
Right? So obviously my words didn't come off as the kindest. We got into a fist fight right then and there. My father-in-law, he's a big dude. Had some army training I wasn't aware of. It was a dirty fight, knockdown, drag out fight. He ended up breaking my arm. I was getting my ass kicked. I'm not gonna lie. Getting my ass kicked. He has me on the ground. I got my arm broken. He has me in a chokehold. I ended up having to grab his dentures. So I bit him with his own false teeth. That was the only way to get him off me. Bit him with his own false teeth. We end up standing up. I get my stone cold stunner. He's on the ground. I go to pin him. My mother-in-law comes sliding across the floor like a referee. Gives me the 3 count. 1, 2, 3. I arose a married man.
That is awesome.
That's how it went down.
Great. I believe it 100%. Mm-hmm. Now I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Now, do all fights have to go down that way? Like, do you have to be like, I'm here at the door. It's time to fight for this marriage, or could you do it like Hamilton style? Could you challenge him to a duel?
Ooh, I like that even better. Well, isn't that kind of the same way? Like you're approaching them with the fight. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying like, do you have to do it right there? Like you did. You came in there. You're like, hey, I'm gonna marry. Fight time. Uh-huh. Or could you walk up to her and be like, I'm going to marry your daughter. Pistols at 12.
And then slap him?
Yeah.
Yep. You know what? JP's right on this one. You can totally do that. There's nothing in the book that says you can't do that. Like set a nice time and date, a nice place, maybe somewhere sunny where you guys can have this duel with your father-in-law.
I took the coward way out. I wish I would have done your way.
What did you do?
I walked up to him and I was like, hey, so even though I've been getting this milk for free, it's time to buy the cow. And I said, I'll send you some cheese. He didn't know what was going on. I took that as, yeah, all right.
So you confused him.
I confused him.
You used your verbal trickery in order to get your wife's hand in marriage. And that's the way it should be. Either way, you got to do it through physical violence or through trickery. Get it done, you know? And if you want to like sneak attack them like a ninja, if that's the only way you can get it done, then by all means do it that way.
Yeah, hide in the bathroom in the dark, and when he comes walking down the hallway, just bow, one-hitter quitter to the chin.
Just get them. So going back to our original question, how do you ask for your girlfriend's hand in marriage? My advice is it doesn't matter. They don't care.
Oh, yeah.
There doesn't have to be anything special. You know, you could just be like sitting at Burger King, be like, hey, you want to get married?
That's a good one.
That's good, right? It's pretty easy.
Or you just tell them, kind of like the duel, marriage, January 29th at 30.
Just set the date.
Yeah.
Now, don't even ask for a response. It shouldn't be a yes or no question.
This is how it's going down, woman.
Take what's yours. Or like the old like caveman days, like just club them in the head and then drag them by the hair.
Or you know, be even better for that is you just wait for somebody else to club them, and when they're dragging by the hair, you go take it. Opportunist, you're the T-Rex of marriage.
And swooping on other people's girlfriends. We married now. I think that's the right way to do it. It's, you know, it doesn't have to be anything special. You see these guys and they do these elaborate proposals, you know what I mean? Baseball games, have a fucking plane fly over. Who has the money for that shit, right?
Yeah.
Who has the time for that? That's not the way you do it. You want to get married, you do it right then and there.
You want to use your manliness.
Get the ball rolling.
The most beautiful one I ever seen was right between the, right when Jean-Claude Van Damme exposed his cheeks watching Bloodsport, someone proposed.
Right then?
Brought a tear to my eye.
That, you know, it was gorgeous. And the most special marriage bond that somebody can have is including Jean-Claude Van Damme in their marriage vows.
The only way you can make it better is you watch Arnold Schwarzenegger movie right after.
Right after. Oh, man. Or, you know what? During the lovemaking, the post-proposal lovemaking,
Yeah.
they have an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie on in the background. Man, that kid is going to come out jacked. I think we've given you guys some really good advice to think about. Again, with your feedback, we appreciate anything. If you guys got, you know, if you like the relationship advice, if you've used it, if these tactics have worked for you to secure your life mate, we want to hear it. We love to hear all that stuff. Anything else you want to say on that, JP?
There's actually two things I'd like to say. I hope you guys like this and you stay tuned because we're having our first guest next week. Surprise guest.
Ooh, exciting. Surprise guest.
Surprise guest. And also, hey, Ryan, how's it going, buddy?
Obligatory Ryan reference. Hey, you guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Definitely send it to your mom. We love you guys. Have a good one. Later.